Anyway, is everyone here for the Golang workshop, right? This workshop? Okay. Raise your hand if you weren't able to come to the last session. If you weren't here for the last session. One person. Okay. Real quick, I'll just review what that last session was about. Essentially, we talked about what Golang is, why it's important, how to install it. If you look at the YouTube video, did you get to look at the YouTube video? Yeah. Okay, so do you have it set up, Golang? Yeah. Okay, cool. Then we can get started and move on. So today's workshop is going to be about creating our Discord bot, connecting it to our Golang script, and running a few basic commands on it. So the first step is, everyone here, you guys have Discord, right? Like a Discord account? Everyone's good? Okay. So we're going to head over to the, all right, this link right here is called discord.com/developer/docs/intro. If you put in Discord developer portal, it should take you there anyways. So let me know if you guys are having trouble getting to the site. Everyone at the site? But once you're at the site, what you're going to do is you're going to head over to applications. All right. And then you're going to create new application. You're going to name it, and then you're going to click agree. And right, so application, new application, name it, agree to the terms and conditions, obviously, right? Then you're going to click create. And then if you want to add a description, you can add a description. So let me know once you guys have finished creating the application. Just put a thumbs up if you guys got tasks. Is everyone good now? Cool. So after that, you're going to head over to bot. You should see like general information, OAuth 2 and bot. So you're going to go click bot, and then on bot, you're going to click add bot. And once you add a bot, it should give you a message like, oh, bot added or bot spawned, something like that. I don't know. But once you get it and you go to it should look like this, where you see your icon, token thing, authorization flow, and a bunch of permissions. So once you get over here, you're going to want to make sure you at least activate present intent, server members intent, and message content intent. These three will allow you to like actually message in servers and have access to that data. Also, I think this should already be activated, but if it's not, just put public. And yeah, that should be it for this part. So once you get those going, you're going to go over here to OAuth. Scroll down here. If you guys missed that, it's OAuth 2, or that tab right there. And you're going to click URL generator. And on URL generator, you're going to scroll down to see bot. You're going to click bot. And then scroll down a little more, and click administrator. What this is doing is it's going to create a link that will allow you to add your bot to servers with permissions to access basically any part of the server. That's what administrator does, right? And we're going to be adding it as a bot. That's what that part's for. Now, when you scroll down after doing that, you will see a link has been created. Once you get this link created, copy it and send it to my Discord. I will add you to a server I created for this workshop. If you don't know my Discord, it is that's my Discord. So just send the link over to that and let me know. Well, yeah, I'll see it when you do it. So just, yeah. So create the link, bot, administration, link, copy, DM to my account. My URL work. I'm going to do it right now. So we will go here, paste, enter. So once you do it on your, if you're gonna make a bot later and you want to add it to your server, this is how it'll look like when you go to the link. And you just pick to select the one server you want to do it to. So this is the one, and then we click continue. Administrator, authorize, the captcha, right? Oh, great. Pandas. I think I'm a human. Cool. Okay. That would have been embarrassing if I failed that. Okay, so that's William's bots added. We'll check the other ones now.
We typically use Golang or
to create Discord bots.
oh no, do you typically use Golang to like script out develop, or is there other language that
For Discord bots, you can use other languages. I think more commonly people use JavaScript.
Okay.
And some people use Python as well. I think Python got a little depreciated, but I think it's still there. JavaScript is the more popular one, Node.js for Discord. Golang is not as well known, but that's why I'm teaching it. Yeah. Application. Oh, did you make your bot public? That could be the. You would do here. You're gonna go to bot, and there should be, I think, the top one. Right? Where is that? Public bot, and then make sure that's toggled. Yeah, and send me the link again. Okay, Ladybug. This one, this one, this one. Oh. Cool. Okay. And it's the same one. And then I will invite you to the server too. Here. All right, let me know when you get the server. Are you in the server?
Yeah, I just. Oh, yeah.
Oh, cool.
Okay. Should be everyone.
But cool. We will move on then. Okay, so now that we have the bot added to our thing, the next thing we're going to do is create the actual like folder repository to house our code for this. So to do that, this will vary depending on which operating system you have. But essentially, you're going to want to create a new folder, right? So I'm going to, and you can name it whatever you want, right? Something like Go Discord bot, and then we're going to change a directory into that. Okay. Oh, I spelled it wrong.
I'm pretty sure you can just do the same thing in like a file explorer too.
Yeah.
You don't need command like.
Yeah, just basically make a new folder.
Yeah.
But this part that I'm going to do now, you need to make sure you're in like some sort of command line. So if you guys weren't here for session 1, but you saw the video, right?
Yeah.
So you know what this next command is. It is go mod init go discord bot, right? In case you have forgotten what this command does, essentially it will create the go.mod file in our thing, initiate it so that we can use the dependencies on our source code. So once you do that, it'll be created. And now you're going to try to open it in any editing editor you have. I'm just going to use VS Code.
The syntax is the same for Mac and Windows, right?
It should be the same, yeah. Okay, let me know when everyone has gotten to this point. Is everyone good? Cool. All right. So the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to open up a well, okay, first I'm going to add the main.go. Okay, and now what we're going to do, we're going to open up a terminal. And if you guys use any of the languages, you'll know that when you're using packages, you're going to want to first install them, right, to use it. So this is how you install packages in Golang. You're going to type go get, and then in quotation marks, it's simply the GitHub link to the package. So for Discord bots, there is a person who already made the package that connects Golang to the Discord API. So we're just going to borrow their code. So it's going to be github.com/BWMARRIN/Discord go end quotation mark. Okay, so
Pause for a second.
yeah, so does anyone need that link again? Let me see if I can. All right, is everyone good with the link? Cool. Okay, say enter. And as you see, it'll add a lot of dependencies. And now last time in session 1, if you remember, I showed you guys the go mod file and it's already empty. If you look at the file now, you will notice that we have a lot more requirements inside of here because we have a Discord package installed. If you guys also remember, there was a command I showed you called go mod tidy. Don't run that right now. If you run go mod tidy right now, it'll see, okay, in your source code, you have nothing, but in go mod, you have Discord package, which means it's not balanced. If you don't need this package, I'll just erase it for you. So if you were to write go mod tidy, it'll just delete this. So first you have to actually use the package and then you can like tidy it up. So the next thing we're gonna do from session 1, if you remember, we're gonna do package main, and then we're going to do import, and over here we're going to import the package that we just downloaded. So to import that, we're going to just type the same exact link. To make sure I type that correctly, github.com, BWMARRIN, Discord go. Okay, cool. And then just to save some time, we're going to install FMT as well, or we're going to import FMT. Let me know when you guys are done with this.
You need a comment again?
The what?
You need a comment again?
No, for Go, that's a good question. For Golang, you don't need to put commas between your imports. In some languages, that is a requirement, but for Golang, you don't need that. Okay. So now, if you guys remember, if any of you guys are familiar with APIs, you'll know that some APIs will give you a key or like a token in order to use it. And the Discord API has the same thing. So, but if I have my token on screen, that's a security risk. So I'm gonna just, this next part is optional. I'm gonna create a config file with config code to just basically put my token in a JSON file and access it when I need it. You guys don't have to do this part. If you want to, you can follow along though. So essentially what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go back over here. I'm gonna create a folder called config. And in that folder, I'm gonna create config.json and then config.go. All right. And now I'm gonna, all right, so in the config.go file, I'm gonna put this code here. This will be available on document later. So if you want to follow along with this, I will have that uploaded. For now though, to save time and focus on the more important stuff, I'm just gonna like paste it here. But if you want, I'll quickly go through it. Essentially what it does is it it creates its own package. It imports the JSON package for Golang, and the this is supposed to be OS. It imports OS, and then it has some variables here, right? We're going to create our own config structure, and you'll see the reason for that in our read config file. We're going to use that OS to read the file config.json, which we have over here, and that will give us the if you look at the function, you see that it returns a byte array and error value. So the byte array will go into our file variable, and if the array is not nil, we'll move on. And then we'll use the JSON package to unmarshal. If you guys are familiar with JSON, unmarshal basically means they'll take the bytes and deconstruct it into usable data, and we'll put that into our struct object. And then we'll just basically assign it to variables, and that's the end of that. So now to use this though, I'm going to go back to, I'll quickly do this. So this part though, you have to actually do, this part's not optional. You have to go back to your developer portal. You have to go to, I believe this is the bot section. Yes. And you guys may already have it, but I've already used it a few times. So for me, it says reset token. If you don't see reset token, you see like a value, just copy that value. If you see reset token, just click reset token. And okay, so I need my 2FA. Essentially, this is the token that will allow us to use the API on our own bot. Cool. Okay. Now, as you can see, that long string of letters is my token. I will copy that. And after you finish copying it, you're going to go back to VS Code. And you're going to go to the config.json file. You're basically going to create the JSON file. So you're going to have token. And inside token, you're going to put your string. And then you're going to have Discord usually has a bot prefix value too. So we're going to have that there too. And for the bot prefix value, if you're familiar with, I think, okay, for JSON, you do need a comma. Okay. So for Discord bots, the bot prefix is basically what you're going to put before your commands. You can make it whatever you want to. I'm just going to make it go space. And then
For the sake of this workshop specifically, I suggest that we all pick something different because we're all going to be testing in the same server, and we don't want to like have conflicts with multiple people using the same prefix at once.
that is a good point, Andy. I will actually change this then to something more specific so that you can differentiate it from which bot. Okay.
I feel like I need to make this layer 3.
Then you can just make your username if you want to by shorthand.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, you can do that later if you want to. You have time for that. Okay. So now that that's done, again, if you wanted to actually do that, I will release the document with the code later. For now, though, we'll just go over here to the main.go file. And in here, we're going to start actually programming the Discord bot. Okay. So the first thing we're going to do, we're going to do var bot ID string, and then we're going to do bot Discord go dot session. Now, not bot ID, just this one is just bot. But so, what are these variables for, and why do we have them? The bot ID is essentially going to be what's going to hold the user ID of our bot. The way this works is it'll treat the bot like a user, therefore it has an ID. And why are we going to use that? Later, you're going to see that we're going to check messages and check if that message was sent by us by comparing the IDs. And if it is sent by us, we don't really want to respond to our own message. So that's why we're going to keep track of the bot ID. And this next variable is called bot Discord go.session. Discord go.session is a object from the Discord Go package. All it does is it creates a connection to the Discord API, and we're going to use that under the variable bot, and you'll see we'll use that to access the connection and communicate with the API itself. Okay. Now for this next part, we're going to be programming what we're going to call the main function, right? If you remember from session 1, that's what this is, right? So the func main, right? If you guys have any questions about all of this, feel free to stop me and ask. Okay. So now for the main function, the first thing we're going to do, right, this part again is optional because it has to do with the config that I had earlier, right? I'm going to say error, declare it. Remember, we're using the shorthand : equal, and then I'm going to access the file I had, right? Read config, that was a function I called it, and right, that's what we were on. And now you see I have an error. Why do I have an error? Because the main function doesn't know what config is. Why does it not know what config is? Because I didn't import it. Now, if you ever have something you're using and you forgot to import it, or you don't know what the import is, you can just save the file and it'll automatically import it for you. As you can see, it brought it from my config folder. And now I don't have an error there. I still have this error, but that's only because I'm not using the error variable right now. I will use it in the following code. So now this piece of code I'm going to add right here, it was known as an error check. And it's very common in the Go language to do this. All it is we're going to check if error is not equal to nil. Now in Python, Java, and some other, and even C++, you'll see it as like null or null pointer, right? But in Golang, it's nil, N-I-L. So we're going to check if it's nil, or if it's not nil. And if the error is not nil, that means there was some error with the reconfig function. And if there was an error, we want to be able to print out that error to the developers, right, in the console, so we know what went wrong. So if you remember from session 1, the FMP, the format package, print ln to print out the error. And again, you can see recipe line because I don't have it imported. If I don't have it imported, Control S, it'll import it for me. And then the red line goes away. Okay, that's what the error check is. These 3 lines of code right here. That's how we're going to error check. After this, we're going to call start. Now, we don't have the start function declared yet, but we will do that shortly. For now, we're just going to call it. And all the start function is going to do is going to initialize all of our stuff so we can start using it. And after we get that initialized, now this part is going to be a little complicated, but I will explain it, so don't panic. We're just going to declare a variable called sc. We're going to use the Golang's built-in make function, and we're going to make a channel, right? A channel for os.signal, 1. Now, what does this do? Well, Golang has this thing called channels, and essentially they're similar to like stacks, you could say, right? Or like streams, C++. So we're going to make a new channel that's going to be looking out for an OS signal. And specifically what it's going to be trying to look for, we'll declare that right now by doing signal.notify, yep, sc. So this is a channel we're going to like do it in, right? And now we need to tell it what we need to look for. So we're going to be looking for the syscall of sig int, the syscall of sig term, and the OS interrupt, and the os.hill. What this is doing is basically it'll check if the user or if the developer does Control C, or if the program terminates, or if the operating system dies, or right, all those stuff. We want to end the program. So yeah, that's what these calls do over here. But now, how is the main function going to know that we have this channel running and we want to check for it, right? So that's what this part is for. It's basically going to point it to the main function that knows if we call that Control C, termination, whatever, to just end the program. Now again, recipe lines because I don't have them imported. So Control S, as you can see, it'll import it for me. And now we'll be able to use the signal calls. Does anyone have any question on these 3 lines of code?
Why do we have to?
Well, if you don't have it there, it's kind of similar to when you make a program in C++ and you check if the user press Q to call off the program, right? That's what that's basically doing. But it's a little more advanced because you want to check for Control C, if the program dies, if the terminal gets terminated, right? Any of those possible instances, that's what it does. It's like a more professional way of like checking if the user press Q.
So instead of just terminating with Control C.
A term is like overall, if any terminating instance happens. Yeah, it doesn't cover more ground for it. If you don't have it, you can't end the program. Yeah.
Oh, yes, error when you put the comma.
An error. Oh, you're missing a quotation mark after talking.
Oh,
You're missing a quotation mark.
and what's the arrow dash?
So the arrow dash syntax,
What's it pointing to though?
it points into the main function. So it tells the main function look out for that channel, and if there's a notification on it, then call off the program. Or actually, what it does specifically is it'll keep running this part asynchronously, and it will only continue to the next part. You'll see where the next part of the code is. We'll only go there if we call any of these. And the next part of the code is simply bot.close. So if we get called Control C, terminate, whatever, we'll move on and we'll close off the connection and end the program. So that's what that does. Does that answer your question? Somewhat?
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry if I couldn't be more clear about it. Okay. Okay, so that's it for the main function. Now we're going to move on to the start function, I believe. Yes. Okay. So, are you guys going to start with that? I'll just type it out if you explain it.
Okay. So I assume this program can be asynchronous.
There are some asynchronous parts to it. Yes, there is asynchronous.
So you have to make a signal. Go back to me. So main loses control of the program after the start function.
Not necessarily. I mean, that's the thing is still happening within main. There's like an asynchronous part. You'll see later. We're gonna have like an event handler that's gonna be happening off the side, and it'll get called off if we run that bot.close, right? But we'll only run the bot.close if we get a signal. So when that happens, main just like calls off all the other programs that are running. That's what it is. So it's still in like the control of the program. But so now we have the start function call here, but now we're going to define what it does. So above the main function, you're going to say func start, right? Now explain. Explain.
Okay, so we're gonna declare two variables, bot and error. And we're gonna use package new, and what basically new creates a session for the Discord.
Just like talking.
Okay, new creates a Discord, like a session for the Discord API connection for the bot object, and also returns the error object, which is the second error. And then basically in the new parameter, it says if you're making a bot account, you have to declare bot and the string bot plus the token. So basically this authenticates the bot. And then
real quick, if you guys didn't use the config thing that I was showing because it's optional, instead of doing config.token, you would just do like quotation marks and then like whatever your token is, okay? Yeah.
and basically during the new function, it basically checks if when making the session as error, and then it just like puts it into the error variable. Such as like an error could be like if you put in too many parameters in the new function, then it'll return something like that error. And then basically we're gonna do an error check after this. Did you do it?
Yeah, I heard you did it.
Okay, so we did the error check already. And then we're gonna do a bot handler. We're gonna add like an event handler, which checks asynchronously and runs anytime an event matches what the function you declare inside the add handler. And basically in this case, the function is checking for a message handler, which always checks for a message. If we have to do an error check. Yeah. Oh, okay.
Using a open.
So the bot that opens, like basically creates a WebSocket connection between the code and Discord, and then also returns an error. It returns an error if there is error. And afterwards, we do another error check for the open. And after this, we're gonna declare a variable to store the ID of the bot. And we have to do this right here because this is when like all the bot has been initialized, and now we can like actually get the ID. And then the bot ID is a global variable that we created at the start. And afterwards, we're gonna like confirm that the bot is running by doing like a simple print.
Any questions on the start function?
So the add handler catches the every message that comes up.
Right. So once we created the connection from our code to the API source, any data that goes through that, which will basically be messages, right? Any data flowing through that will be handled by this message handler. Currently, it's not declared, but we're going to declare it in a moment. Any other questions? Is everyone good? Good. So now we're going to declare the message handler function.
Go back up. Go back up.
Sir. This is Is everyone else good with it? Yeah. Okay, cool. Okay, so now we're going to declare the function message handler.
Right, so now we're gonna start writing the message handler function, which is basically a function for commands. So we're gonna start off writing it as you would any other command or function, and you're gonna have two parameters. One, a Discord go.session parameter, we're gonna call it S, and the second one is going to be a Discord go.message object. So the first one is basically just checking that there's a active session, a active connection to Discord. And the second one is like a message. Asterisk Discord go dot message create.
If you guys remember from C++, the abstract means that it's a pointer.
Yeah.
But
Right. So first we're going to be checking if the author ID of the message is equal to the bot ID. And if that is true, we're going to return and the function is going to do nothing. And what this does is it makes sure that the bot isn't going to respond to itself. Because if it's responding to itself, it's going to cause an infinite loop, and you most likely don't want that to happen. So then you're going to want to check if the content of the message first has the prefix. So you have the if m.content equal to config.bot prefix, which you set up earlier.
if you guys aren't using the config thing though, because it's optional, you can just replace it with a string, right? Like that, right?
Yeah. Plus ping. And in this case, ping is your command. So you have your prefix and your command. So when you start writing the body of that, air : equals s.channel message send m.channel ID. It's going to send a message into the same channel, pong, because we're going to be pinging the bot, and it's going to be ping us back with how many seconds the message took to send. And in this case, we're using the time library to print out how the length of time it took for the message to send, and putting that into a string. So take a moment to copy all that down. After that, we're going to be checking for an error again. If error is not equal to nil, it's going to println the error. Otherwise, that is the entire message handler function. Yeah. Control minus? Yeah.
Let me know when you guys are good with it.
Clarification.
The dot type string is like typecasting.
Yeah.
What's the underbar?
Good question. So the underscore, as you noticed right before the error thing, you know how Golang doesn't like it if you have a variable but you don't use it, right? But in this case, if you hover over channel message send, you can see that it returns two parameters, two outputs, right?
Oh.
It returns Discord message and error. But we don't really want the message object because in this command, we don't really need it, right? So if you don't need a variable, but we still need to like declare it here, we just put underscore and Golang will know, okay, you don't want to use a variable, that's fine. So it's like a workaround that thing, yeah.
They're just putting their return value into like something not
Basically, yeah.
large.
You can think of it like a placeholder.
Well, like null and JS.
Sort of, yeah. Okay, let me know when if you guys have any questions or if you're caught up with this.
Can you put nil at the placeholder?
Like instead of underscore, you want to put like NIL.
Yeah.
I don't think that would work because you can't really put the what is it? The Discord dot message object. It's an object, right? You can't store that into a nil. It needs to still be like a variable technically, but Golang will see, okay, you named it underscore. That means you're probably not going to use this variable, so we won't give you an error for it. But if you were to name the variable like how we named error, then Golang will be like, okay, you named it. That means you want to use it. So if you don't use it, I'm going to give you an error. To show you that, I'll quickly go over here. I'll just rename it underscore to like our message, right? If I do that, you can see it's immediately underscored or underlined with the red thing. And if you hover over it, it says message was not used. But if you put it underscore, that message, the error goes away. Yeah. Is everyone else good? Good. But all right, so now that you have it ready, we save that, right? And you're gonna go to terminal. Terminal. Okay. So once you're in the terminal, you're gonna quickly run go build. Now, what does go build do? It's essentially the same thing as like compiling all of your code into one like binary standalone file, right? This will include all your source code, your dependencies, everything, right? So if you quickly run that, you'll see it does it and then it's successful. If anyone had any issue or errors from that, let me know. We'll go over it. Okay. What? Oh, okay. So config.co. Okay, so so there's no config code here. So instead of using that right now, you can use it later, but because I didn't release the code yet, instead of using config.token, right, just replace it with a string for now. Also, it's an uppercase N for new. Yeah.
Also, there's one more like they use the config.
Yes, that was the block prefix. If you go down, just replace that with like the string for it.
Yeah,
and then after the workshop, I'll post the code, and then you can just like copy and paste that into the config.go and change it back. Yeah. Whatever you want to use, whatever you want to use. I already did. All right, is everyone else good? Any errors? Yeah, you have to comment that out. We'll just comment it out. Yeah. You comment the whole thing. Yeah. And it should be good now. Good. But
Oh. Oh, he's just back.
good. All right. So once you have the Go build successfully compiled with no errors, what you're gonna do is you're gonna just run it, right? Run main.go, go. So this command it will simply run the compiled main.go. Now from here on out, if you're going to like make changes to your code, you don't have to run the go build function again. Because all the go build function did was like basically compile your dependencies. Unless you're adding a new dependency, you don't have to run it again. If you're just changing the code, just run go run main.go. And if you run that, you will see, hopefully, oh, I have an error. I will check that. Unexpected end of JSON. Read
Functions are.
Okay, it seems I have an error on line 35. If I go check that out. This one.
Oh, so this person.
Let me check it out. The system cannot find the file expected. Because if you look here, I had it as config.json, and it couldn't find the file. If you have that error, just go to your config.json thing and copy the relative path and put it there directly. It should fix it. We will check that now.
Wait, so what's the run comment?
The run command is this: go run main.go.
Oh,
Yeah. Hopefully we're fine now. Okay, seems there's still another error.
not running.
Still can't find it. Okay. Oh. With JSON, if you're gonna get an error, sometimes if the error is null, it'll go through this and it will try to access null, which you don't want. So this won't affect you guys because you don't have the code right here. I'll make sure I fix this on the code when I get back. Basically, you don't want to do error.error. You just want the error itself so that it doesn't try to access like a null pointer in memory. That should, okay, there's one more over here. Only print out the error itself, not error.error. Thing, that should be it. Okay. Try one more time. This is embarrassing.
Maybe you're missing a bracket.
What?
Maybe you're missing a bracket.
On this new bracket.
Maybe.
So it turns out I'm just kind of blind. So when I was running it earlier, I did not have a slash here. So obviously it could not find the file. So let's make sure you spell things correctly so you don't embarrass yourself like I did. And now if you look here, it is running and you should see this message right here. Bot is now running. Let me know if you guys see it. Did everyone good with that message?
Well, this is now run. Oh, yeah. Can you also invite this bot to our server?
Did we not invite it?
Oh, no. This.
Okay, okay.
So I'll send him the like this.
Okay, you'll invite him to the server?
By the way, do you know why my code doesn't understand the white space between this two? Because for my code, I put the white space.
You put white space
Can
and
you just like restart your bot? Well, oh, okay. Oh, no, control. Huh? Try again. Oh, there. No. I think even if you change the code, it's not like a live server.
Yeah, you need to like restart it.
so as you guys can see here, if everyone has their bot running, we should be able to see it in the server. If I scroll down to the Golang Discord bot server, just expand it a little bit. No, that's not okay. Close up. Okay, cool. So If you go here and you type in your command, you should see it outputs with the latency or the ping, basically. So I want everyone to just quickly try that right here so we can see it live and make sure everyone can see the bot working. So, okay. Why'd you put it the same? Okay. Use your own bot. Is anyone having problems with running their command on server? Okay, good job. That works. Runtime error? And we'll check out what it is. Cool. Are you good? Problem? Right.
Mixed meaning.
Syntax error. And what line is the errors on? 59. And what's on 59? Message handler. Oh yeah, you should do S and then a pointer with a pointer variable for session. And you are calling S here. Yeah, so you are using S here. And everything else looks good. Cool. Try that. All right, what's the error now? That's 66. Hold on. Oh, so you need to put an underscore. Do you remember? Were you here when I talked about
I wasn't here, or I was here, but I wasn't.
Okay. And then you might have one more, yeah, 72, which is saying maybe it's an extra bracket. No. Try running this again. Maybe it would just be. Yeah. Are you? You're welcome.
Okay. You put the one. No, we want. Probably not use not here. That is do you made the I had this but it's longer. And so right, it's like look at he was messing with the aspects of there. Yeah. We run in this turn on both ones. That's what you're doing. Did you do it? Because if you do that, the highlight like null, right? And you're trying to access that null and null filter. I think that's a bomb. If you just go to your browser, or you have it. Go to bot. And then copy. And go left and then very measure. Just do the X2 plus. The ones focus and that's two. And that's the back running. Did you create it? I don't know. And then just go to the for you in the server. Yeah. Yeah.
So go to yeah, try run the command there. And you two help them out. They're having a little problems.
What do I put before C?
Okay. There's a thing.
Yes. Where's your first? ABC. Oh, okay. There's no space. You didn't put a space in the thing. If you want a space, there's so later on, there's content and something between choosers. So like. So I don't understand. So you don't have to. Oh, so you only just. Okay. So. Now you're right. Go back to your. Browser. Okay. Go down. You have it on the right line. Go back to your first. Try doing your best. What I just try to make my job reply to others.
We're like finishing up.
I disabled it. Never. Yeah. I think it's good.
Wait, everyone. This should be end of session 2 now. Thank you guys for coming. Next session, we'll be covering how to do like a mini game with our Discord bot. Whatever mini game we want to. I think I'll be doing high low, but if you have any other ideas, feel free to like test them out. Yeah, thank you. You guys are free to go.